Hi, welcome back to my channel.
Hello, Ramona.
If you're new here, hi, my name's Katie Wismer. I'm an author and an editor, and I have 6 books out now. Today is the release day of Wicked Souls, which is my 6th book. Yikes. Maybe for the 7th we'll finally take down the Terry balloons, who knows. Yeah, so it's release day. I thought we would just do a chill sit down video. You guys sent in some questions I'm gonna answer. We're just gonna talk about the book. It'll be fun. If you've missed the other release week videos, I'll have them linked down below in the description. There will be more coming as always. And if you still need to pick up a copy of the book, I don't even have a final copy yet. I'll have links down below in the description. It's in Kindle Unlimited. You can also get the ebook on Amazon as usual. The paperbacks are pretty much everywhere. Book Depository, Target, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you get your books. And there's an audiobook currently in production. I'm hoping it'll be out in the next 2 weeks-ish, somewhere in there. If you want to stay caught up on new releases, exclusive content, sneak peeks, all that kind of stuff, you can sign up for my newsletter at katiewismer.com. Happy release day! It's not actually release day the day that I'm filming this, but we can pretend. Actually, the day that I'm filming this, I purposefully set the paperbacks on sale a couple of days early, so if you order them now, they'll be to you on release day. And this is going to be a rambly video apparently. I didn't like that people who pre-ordered the book were sometimes the last people to get them, because if you pre-order, you're pre-ordering through Ingram Spark. And so Ingram Spark doesn't start like printing until the release day, and then there's the shipping. So people who pre-ordered the book were getting it later than people who waited and then bought it with Amazon and then got Prime shipping. So I was like, that's totally not fair. If you're pre-ordering, I want to reward you for that. Like, I want you to be the first people to get the book. So what I did this time around was I put the release day as the release day, December 7th, but I put the on sale day a full week earlier, so they would start printing and shipping a week early. And so some people actually have the book today, the day that I'm filming it. So it's basically a release day. Anyway, yeah, we're just gonna talk about this book. I don't even know what I'm gonna talk about yet. I haven't even looked at the questions you guys sent in. We're just gonna chill. I hope that's okay with you. Speaking about the Terry balloons though, I do have a mini announcement. My first 2 novels, The Anti-Virginity Pact and The Anti-Relationship Year, just also moved into Kindle Unlimited. So if you have KU, if you haven't read my first 2 books, they're in there now. The Anti-Virginity Pact is a coming-of-age young adult contemporary that really focuses on friendship, dealing with religious trauma. There's anxiety representation, first loves, and it's about 2 best friends who sign a pact to lose their virginities before they graduate high school. And then The Anti-Relationship Year is a companion book, but they're both standalone, so you could read either or. You could read them in whatever order, and that's a new adult college friends to lovers romance. Anyway, those will be linked down below, but today we're talking about Wicked Souls, which is the 2nd book in my Marionette series, which is a new adult urban fantasy romance series with vampires and witches and plot twists and blood and gore and steam. This is definitely the steamiest of my books to date, which I think someone asked a question about, so we'll talk more about that in a little bit. What to even start with? I feel like someone always asks me how long the book is. This book is about 400 pages. I think it's 398. The word count, it was at like 100K for a while there. I got it down to about 97,000. If you're a writer and you care about word count. If you are into music and you like listening to playlists for books, I have a music playlist on Spotify that you should totally listen to while you're reading the book. It'll get you in the mood, I promise. And I guess I'm gonna start with the questions that you guys sent in, because I feel like that'll like spur some ideas of other things I wanted to talk about. Oh, if you want to participate in videos in the future with these kind of Q&As, follow me on Instagram. I always ask for questions on my stories. Also, if you are newer to my channel, welcome, but if you missed all of the release week videos for book 1, The Marionettes, I think I did one every day during the week, so there's like 7 or something. I'll have that playlist linked down below, just because a lot of the questions that I got, I answered in those videos. Are we going to see more types of creatures, werewolves, fairies, etc.? Yes, I'm currently writing book 3, so now I'm trying to remember like what happens in book 2 and what happens in book 3. But yes, you will definitely be introduced to more creatures. There's definitely some in book 2. I think you get, the world expands even more in book 3, but you do get more of that in book 2. Not fairies though. I'm not into the fairies. At least as of right now, they're not in this series, but I don't know how much I want to tell you if you haven't read book 1. I'm going to try to keep this video spoiler free if you haven't read the first book. Speaking of, I will be doing, this is so disorganized, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be doing the same thing that we did with book 1 and do a live show full of spoilers for this book about a month after it comes out. So you'll have about a month to read it. Definitely don't come to the live show if you haven't read it yet, because it'll be full of spoilers. and we can just discuss the book. You can ask me your questions after you've read it and everything like that. As of right now, when I'm filming this, I don't know what date it's gonna be, but by the time I post this, I'm gonna figure it out. So I'll have the live show down below scheduled and you can set a reminder. What was I saying? How did I get to that topic? Anyway, yes, more kinds of creatures in this book. What was the hardest part about writing this book? The emotional arc for the main character in this book was the most challenging by far. The plot, I feel like I added in a lot of scenes to this book, but like the overall plot didn't really change. But our main character's emotional journey and her relationships with a couple of different people, if you've read the first book, you know how it leaves off. Coming out of that and developing her arc in this book organically was a huge challenge. That was probably the biggest round of revisions that I did, was trying to make it believable, like what she was going through. Shout out to my beta readers, they helped a lot with that. Any new love interests for the main character? It's funny, I actually think 2 people asked that question. Valerie's romantic relationships will only get messier with each book. That's all I'm gonna say. Why did you go with a dark cover when the first one is white? That's a good question. So actually, if you are interested in the behind the scenes of publishing and everything, I have a tier on my Patreon page called Self-Publishing 101. And last month in November, one of the videos that we did was a behind the scenes video of the cover designing process with all of the Marionettes covers. And I went through the different versions that we went through, why we made those choices and stuff. So if you want to see all of that, it's on my Patreon page. But one of the first covers of Wicked Souls that my cover designer sent me was actually a white cover, like the first one. So it ended up here just because obviously the black works better with the white skull. And the series gets darker with each book, so I think it makes sense that the covers kind of get darker. That's just how it ended up working out. Which book in the series is your favorite? Ask me again after I've written them all. I don't know. Of the first 2 that are out now, I like them both for very different reasons. The first book, I really like the setting. It's set at the academy. I feel like it's very atmospheric and spooky. It's like the perfect like October read in my opinion. This second book is set during the summer break between semesters. So different settings, different vibes, like it's a completely different feel to it, I think. So I really enjoyed like the atmosphere and the fast pace and the plot twists of book 1. And then with book 2, I really enjoyed the development with the characters and their relationships. So I like both of them for different reasons. You said there would be more than 4 books after all. Do you know how many? No, and I probably won't know until I've written book 4 if I figure out if I can contain all of it in one book or not. So I probably won't know for years how many books there will be. I have no idea. I had a couple people ask my favorite chapters. I marked them this time. So some of my favorites, chapter 7. There's a scene in chapter 10 with a new favorite character of mine. Chapter 14, chapter 19, and chapter 26. What book would you compare the spice level of book 2 to? Interesting question. Here's the thing, I don't want to spoil anything. It's definitely spicier than book 1 was. It's definitely the spiciest of the books that I've written, but I also don't want to like oversell it. I feel like there's a couple of different kinds of spicy books. There's ones that have it like throughout and there's a ton of different scenes, and then there's some where there's only like 1 or 2 scenes, but they're really in depth and they're really long. So this one is that second type, and we're talking like a 20-page scene, but considering it's a very big book, it's not throughout. So I don't know what book that would be comparable to. You guys read it, let me know. Will we ever see that one scene from book 1, if you've read it, the dream thing on the ceiling in Reed's room from Reed's point of view? Maybe. I don't know. I did have fun writing that one bonus scene from Reed's point of view, which you can get with my newsletter. So maybe I'll write more bonus things from his point of view because that was fun. I feel like that would definitely be an interesting one from his point of view for sure. Any realizations about your writing style or process? I think one thing that I've learned about myself is I'm actually better off when I don't try to write the book all in one go. So I kind of write my books in stages, and that's why oftentimes the rough draft is a lot shorter than the book ends up being, and I go back and I add a lot to it because I start to get tired after I've been writing for like 50,000 words. And so I actually find that it's better for me to like take a break every couple of 10,000 words and then come back refreshed, so then the writing doesn't start to feel tired. Because back when I used to try to force myself all the way through a rough draft until I finished, the scenes towards the end got more and more underwritten because I was tired. I was trying to get to the end. And so now I feel like when you're a new writer and you've never finished writing a book, the most important thing is to finish it. But now that I've finished so many books in my life, like that's not a concern for me. I know I'm gonna finish the project if I've set my mind to it. So I'm not as afraid to like take breaks in the middle of drafts, which is something I usually advise against for people who are like trying to finish a novel for the first time. But for me, I have found I actually find it helpful to have those breaks every so often within a draft so I don't start to like burn out and lose steam. So I feel like I kind of write my books in chunks. I'll write like 30 or 40,000 words, then I'll take a little bit of a break. I'll write another couple 10,000 words, take a break. That just like keeps me going when I'm writing these longer books. Did you experience having moments where you didn't care about certain characters? I feel like not that I didn't care about them, but there are definitely times when there's a subplot that I'm more interested in or I'm more excited to write, or there's a part of the book that I'm more looking forward to. So sometimes I'll skip over things and come back to them, or they're just like really underwritten and rushed in the rough draft and I have to fix that later on. If I straight up didn't care about a character, I feel like the reader wouldn't either, and that would be something that needed to be fixed in the book. Do you ever struggle with the thought that family and friends will be thinking every protagonist you write is you? I mean, people are gonna think what they want to think. It's fiction. If you're reading too much into it, that's on you. But yeah, there are pieces of me in all of my books for sure. Books are personal no matter what. They come from somewhere, but I'm definitely not my main characters. And yeah, there's nothing I could do about what other people think. My mom definitely, she reads the books, and my books have a lot of questionable parental figures in them, so she always tries to psychoanalyze that, and she's like, oh my god, you think I'm a bad mother? Like, why do you always write all these bad parents? And I'm just like, it's not based on you. I don't really struggle with it. It is what it is. And I mean, I like all of my protagonists, so I don't think it would be a bad comparison, but also the people in my life, they know me. So I think if they read the book, they would know like clearly that protagonist is not you. That's not like you. Do you ever scare yourself while writing gory scenes? So not in the sense where like I feel like I have the same experience that the reader does, where they might be like shocked or whatever, but I do kind of scare myself in the sense that I'll write some of these more disturbing scenes and I'll be like, why was that in my head? Like, where did that come from? So I scare myself just for the fact that I come up with these things. Like, where do they come from? Why am I like this? Why are my books so dark? I don't know. I feel like I have less of a tolerance for reading that kind of stuff, but when I'm writing it, it doesn't like affect me like that at all. I don't really know how to explain it. I'm not like in the least bit unsettled by what I write, no matter how disturbing it is. But if it was someone else's book and I read it, I might be disturbed by it. So I don't really know. What's a storyline you started but decided not to include in the series? Nothing that ever got far. When I first start writing a book, I sit down and do like a massive brainstorm, brain dump. Sometimes the documents end up being like 20 pages single spaced of just completely like incoherent notes of just like every idea I could possibly come up with, every possible turn the book could take, and then I usually go through with a highlighter and I pick out the things that are actually going to work for the book. So there were plenty of ideas or even things that may have made it into the rough draft that I ended up just not following through with. I'm trying to think of anything in particular. I had a couple of wrong turns when I was trying to figure out the world when I was writing book 1, and so there were certain details and like rules of how the world worked that I ended up deciding against. Like originally vampire glamours worked differently on humans than they did on witches, and it ended up just getting too complicated, so I took that out. Just like stuff like that. So yeah, those were all of the questions from Instagram. Let me think if there's anything else that we could talk about today before we end off the video. Thank you so much everybody who pre-ordered this book. I had no idea what to expect with this book because this is the second book in a series, and though I have the Pact series, they're like companion standalones. This is the first time like this is a sequel. You cannot read this book without reading book 1. So I had no idea what to expect with the read through from book 1 to book 2, and the amount of pre-orders that we got for book 2 has really blown me away in a good way. Like I'm really pleased with the number of pre-orders that we've seen. I'm excited that people are excited about book 2. I'm the most nervous for this book release that I have been since my first book came out. I have not been this nervous about a book in a while, and I think it's because people liked book 1 so much that I really hope that you guys love this second book too. I really don't want to let you down. I hope you enjoy it. I'm so nervous about that. am so glad that I wrote the majority of this book before book 1 came out, so that pressure was only on me when I was in like the last stages of editing, so the book was mostly done. I don't know if I would have been able to sit down and write this book when I was feeling like that. I definitely have a lot of anxiety about this release, which I don't usually with my book releases, but overall I am really happy with this book. It's been a whirlwind of a journey. I was looking back through the vlogs on the channel to try and figure out when did we even start writing this book, because I started writing the rough draft while I was revising book 1 too, so the paths kind of intertwine. I think we started writing this book back in March of this year. So really I have been working on it pretty much all year, but it also just feels like, I don't know, I blinked and suddenly there was a book in front of me. It's all a blur. Like I don't remember really working on it or writing it. I don't know what happened. It's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to end up being around the same length as book 1. Now it's a good 150 pages longer than book 1. So yeah, all of the links will be down below in the description if you want to pick up a copy. I would appreciate it so much if you read it and enjoy it if you left a review on Amazon. They help the book so much. You can add book 3 on Goodreads now, and it's also up for pre-order on Amazon. It's called Bloodless Ties. It's coming out November 15th of 2022, and I hope you guys enjoy the book. I really hope you love it. I can't wait to hear what you think. I can't wait to see the reactions. Thank you guys so much for following along with this whole journey with this series. It's been such a surprising highlight of this year for me, having book 1's release go so well and now having book 2 come out. I wasn't even sure if that was going to happen this year. I started writing book 1, The Marionettes, in NaNoWriMo of 2020, so not this most recent November, the one before. Honestly, just as a for fun thing, I just wanted to kind of get out of my head and write something that was just my taste in books and something fun. And I've always loved vampires and just like the trashy paranormal romances and just something fast-paced and fun and entertaining. And so I wrote that book for me, thinking no one else is gonna like this. This is my taste in books. It's weird, I know that. And then I published it, and it's been my most well-received book to date. I've been so thrilled to see people enjoy the book as much as I enjoyed writing it. And I think when a writer really loves what they're doing and really enjoys the process, that comes through in the book. I think as a reader you can tell. I'm really grateful that this series has been doing so well because I really love writing these books. I really love these characters. I have so much fun with them. And book 2 is an interesting one. I hope you have fun with it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll have everything that we talked about linked down below in the description, and I will see you tomorrow with whatever the next release week video is. I don't know what order these are going up in. Happy release day. I hope you enjoyed the book. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.
No.